Welcome everybody to Ethical Issues Exposed. My name is Stephen Gohl, and today we are going to be talking about the buying and selling of organs for transplantation. Today on our show we'll have guest appearances by two Arizona State University students with opposing points of view. Not only is this issue debated on a global scale, it is happening right here in our very own community. Please welcome our first guest, Emily Schlintz. Well, it's great to have you here because without you here we wouldn't have a show.
This is true.
Moving along, so Emily, what exactly is your stance on this whole buying and selling of organs for transplantation?
Well, I feel that the discussion of selling body parts is often overshadowed by things like murder and exploitation. But there is a serious ethical issue here of whether people should be allowed to sell their organs for money and should never be legal.
Well, I can see where you're coming from, but can you give us some reasons why you feel this way?
Yes, I can. Well, first of all, buying and selling organs violates the dignity of human beings. By selling an organ, we are treating ourselves as merely a means. We are treating ourselves as an object with a market price. It's not the objection that you're giving up an organ, as donating your kidney. It's giving it up for a monetary gain, and I feel that is just morally wrong.
That is a truly valid point, because how can anybody put a price or value on an organ, or let alone just a human being?
Well, Steve, secondly, buying and selling organs will widen the gap between the rich and the poor. It's the poor that are going to sell their organs, not the rich, and there's something deeply morally wrong with a proposal that results in the needy parting with an organ while the fortunate do not. It's just not right.
Yeah, because there's just some people out there that think money this, money that, and they're gonna be able to just get whatever they want because they have money. And
exactly, and the rich don't need money, so they're not going to sell their organs, and it's not right.
That could be a very sticky situation.
It's exactly what we're trying to avoid. Well, another con on this issue is that by putting a price on our organs, people may feel pressured into selling their organs. A lot of people are desperate for money. And for example, look at college students. Myself, it's expensive. I have loans. The thought of maybe selling an organ and have all that disappear is great, and I think maybe students will feel coerced into doing so they won't have to worry about money, and I don't feel that that is justification for allowing people to sell their organs. It's just not right.
Yeah, I can totally understand exactly what your feelings might be, what you're going through, because I was in school a couple decades ago now, and so I can really relate. If I were going to do this, I would want it as a gift, and an organ shouldn't be something that's sold.
Well, that's exactly right. Giving up an organ should be a gift. It's an altruistic donation, and by allowing people to sell their organs, there will be no more donation. People won't give up their organs just because they care for the well-being of others. They're going to give them up for themselves to get money. I feel that it should be allowed to be donated only because that's what it's all about, and it's a good deed to give up an organ for donation, but not to sell it for money. And selling it for money is just not right.
Today, Emily has brought a clip that summarizes her point of view. Let's take a look. Thank you very much for joining us today, Emily. It's been my pleasure.
Thanks, Steve, for giving me the opportunity to come here and share my point of view.
Up next, Ben Tullis, who does think it's a good idea to buy and sell organs for transplantation. Welcome back to Ethical Issues Exposed. My name is Steve Gohl, as you may know, and our second guest today is Ben Tullis, also another Arizona State University student, and he is going to be talking about the pros of buying and selling organs for transplantation today. Please welcome Ben Tullis.
Yeah!
How's it going? Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks again, Ben, for being here. And I understand that you want to talk to us today about the compensation for organ donations. Is this right?
Absolutely, Stephen. In fact, I believe that the availability of organs will increase if we offer some sort of compensation for our organ donation.
Definitely. It most certainly would, because everybody, I would assume that everybody's going to be out wanting to get this money for...
Well, maybe not everybody, but certain people, especially those that, maybe are in a circumstance where, say your husband or wife or friend dies in a car accident, and, they aren't very rich, they're maybe very young and not expecting it. If they get compensated for this, then they might actually be able to have their funeral expenses paid. In fact, Stephen, there are, I believe, more people on the kidney transplant list than there are on any other list right now. And because of the amount of kidney disease that we have in this country, we can actually prevent, or not maybe prevent, but fewer people will actually die from this type of curable disease. The drugs that we have out available today are amazing. They stop the body from rejecting these organs long enough that we're able to live long, productive, healthy lives, even with one kidney.
Ben, you mean to tell me that there's about 98,000 people on this list? How many of these people have actually gotten a transplant?
So, of those 98,000 people, there's only about 20% of those that have had a transplant today, and the rest of them, they may die. I mean, just literally, they're not going to make it to the end.
There's never enough, out there.
There isn't enough. There isn't enough. And if we offer some sort of compensation, now, I'm not talking about buying somebody's organ. In fact, I did a informal poll of just some of the people in class, my wife, a couple of people. In fact, Stephen, would you let somebody pay you, say, $1,000 to $20,000 for your kidney, alive, the way you are right now?
I've never actually thought about that, but I can't imagine just giving away a kidney.
But think about it, $20,000. It's a lot of money, isn't it?
It can do a lot, yeah.
It can do a lot. So what I'm saying is maybe not pay people living donors for their organs. Yeah, that kind of gets a little bit shady. I know that eBay has taken off kidneys and others, right. Things like that off the site. But if we compensate somebody, again, for my example of the car accident, if you're in a car accident and you can't survive, why not allow people to have their funeral expenses paid for the use of their kidney, for the use of their heart? If we let that person have their funeral expenses paid, then it will allow them to donate that organ and gain something in return, but it's not going to be, compensation per se.
Those are some interesting points you bring up, Ben. Our last guest, Emily, who was on the show, she came in and she talked about the disparity between the rich and the poor. There was a study in India where the participants were paid just over $1,000 per kidney, and it actually showed that the average income had declined by 1/3, and more of the participants were actually living below the poverty line.
Should compensate people a little bit more than just saying, great job, pat on the back, I appreciate your help. It's great, it's nice, but we have the ability and the technology and the resources today, both public and private, to be able to offer these people a little bit more.
Well, no matter what happens, whether it be through skydiving, smoking, all of those are things that, many people do. However, I would never agree to sell my organs. Those are mine, and I just feel that I should just hold on to those. And also, today, we have a clip that Ben brought along, and it illustrates his vital stance here, and why actually buying and selling organs for transplantation is a good reason. Let's check it out. What a fantastic show we've had. This was such a great clip we just looked at. Ben, I would really like to thank you for coming and joining us today.
I appreciate you're inviting me.
Not a problem. Anytime. I'm going to probably try and get you to come back again.
Will do.
Full of it.
Give me a call.
Woo! Well, that clip pretty much sums up all of your points today, Ben. Thank you for bringing that along with you. And also thank you for coming to our show.
I appreciate it. Thanks for inviting me.
You're very welcome.